Commander Vex of the Galactic Enforcement Division stood at attention in the pristine white chambers of the High Council, his purple skin glistening under the artificial suns. His aide, Lieutenant Quill, shuffled nervously beside him, clutching a datapad like it might spontaneously combust. "The humans of Earth have become a problem," announced Counselor Prime Zenith, her voice echoing through the chamber with all the warmth of a funeral director. "Their unpredictability threatens galactic stability. They must be relocated." Vex nodded confidently. After all, he'd relocated 17 different species in the past decade. Granted, most of them had been civilized enough to fill out the proper forms first, but how hard could humans be? "Sir," Quill whispered, his voice cracking like a teenager asking someone to prom, "the preliminary reports suggest humans might be difficult." "Nonsense," Vex replied, adjusting his ceremonial badge. "We have superior technology, established protocols, and the full backing of galactic law. What could possibly go wrong?" 3 hours later, Vex discovered exactly what could go wrong. The first human galactic contact should have been a simple procedure. Hover over major population centers, broadcast the relocation notice in 17 languages, wait for compliance. Instead, Vex found himself staring at his communication console in complete bewilderment. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "the humans are responding." "Excellent. Are they preparing for departure?" "Not exactly, sir. They're sending us something called memes and pizza delivery requests." Vex squinted at the screen displaying what appeared to be a cartoon frog with the caption, "It's relocation day. My dudes," and another image of a confused-looking alien with text reading, "Aliens, we're here to relocate you. Humans, hold my beer." "What in the seven hells is a hold my beer situation?" Vex muttered. "Ang." Before anyone could answer, alarms started blaring. Lieutenant Quill's face went from pale green to transparent. "Sir, we have 17 human aircraft approaching our perimeter. They're not armed, but they're doing something with their wing configurations." On the main screen, human pilots were making their jets perform what could only be described as aerial choreography, spelling out words in the sky. Vex watched in horror as the message became clear: "Welcome to Earth. Please enjoy your stay. Return policy void where prohibited." "They're mocking us," Vex whispered. "It gets worse, sir," Quill stammered. "Domino's Pizza just docked with Bay 7. Apparently someone ordered 50 large pepperonis for the hungry alien guys." Vex closed his eyes and counted to 10 in high galactic. Then he counted to 10 in low galactic. Then he invented new numbers just so he could count to them too. "This is fine," he lied to himself. "This is a minor setback. Humans are still just a Class C civilization. We'll adjust our approach." From the cargo bay, he could hear his crew arguing with the pizza delivery human about whether they accepted galactic credits or if they needed to download something called Venmo. Captain Jake Morrison was having what he generously called a Tuesday when the aliens showed up. He'd seen worse Tuesdays, admittedly. There was the Tuesday when his coffee maker broke and his ex-wife called to remind him about alimony in the same 5-minute window. There was the Tuesday when he'd accidentally demoed the wrong building. And there was the Tuesday when he'd discovered his favorite pizza place had been replaced by a quinoa bar. Alien invasion? Honestly, it barely cracked the top 10. "Jake, you seeing this?" Zoe Park called from across the construction site, pointing at the sky where massive ships hovered like particularly ominous clouds. Zoe had the kind of cheerful demeanor that came from working with explosives for 15 years and developing a healthy appreciation for things that went boom. "Yeah, I see it," Jake replied, taking a sip of coffee that could strip paint. "Think they're here about the parking situation downtown?" "Dude, it's obviously the Galactic Federation finally making contact," Marcus Webb announced, not looking up from his tablet. Marcus had the unsettling ability to reference every movie, TV show, and video game ever created, often in the same sentence. "This is totally Independence Day meets District 9 with a sprinkle of men in black. As long as they don't mess with my flight schedule," Elena Rodriguez muttered, checking her watch. Elena had been flying everything from crop dusters to experimental aircraft for so long that she treated physics more like gentle suggestions than actual laws. The team had been contracted to demo an old shopping mall, but the aliens seemed more interesting. Besides, the mall wasn't going anywhere, and this was prime entertainment. So Jake said, settling into a folding chair and cracking open another beer, anyone taking bets on whether they come in peace? $5 says they're here to probe something, Zoe offered. $10 says they want our water, Marcus countered. It's always about the water in these movies. $20 says they're just lost and too proud to ask for directions, Elena added. That's when the sky lit up with what could only be described as the galaxy's most polite invasion announcement. Attention, humans of Earth, boomed a voice that sounded like it had been processed through several layers of bureaucracy. By order of the Galactic Council, you are hereby scheduled for relocation to Sector 7G for your own protection and the stability of the galactic community. The four humans looked at each other. Did they just say scheduled? Jake asked. Like we're a dentist appointment, Zoe confirmed. Classic bureaucratic alien invasion. Marcus nodded sagely. This is like Brazil meets the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've got a flight to Denver at 6, Elena said. Think they'll be done by then? Around them, other humans were reacting with the kind of measured response that had made humanity simultaneously the most beloved and most feared species on Earth. Which is to say, they were treating the whole thing like a particularly elaborate flash mob. Someone had already set up a hot dog cart near the landing site. A local news crew was interviewing a guy who claimed he'd totally seen this coming because his horoscope said Tuesday would be weird. 3 teenagers were live streaming the event with commentary that would have made sports announcers weep with envy. You know what? Jake said, finishing his beer and standing up. This is actually kind of interesting. Elena, think you can get us a closer look? Can I get us a closer look? Elena grinned. Jake, I once landed a helicopter on a moving train because someone bet me I couldn't. Getting close to some aliens is basically a warm-up. As they piled into Elena's helicopter, Marcus was already pulling up Earth's official response to first contact, which had apparently been crowdsourced through social media and resulted in a formal diplomatic message that simply read, "New phone, who dis?" The aliens, Jake reflected, had no idea what they were dealing with. Commander Vex had processed relocations for the Zephyrian nomads, who had thanked him profusely and left behind a nice fruit basket. He'd relocated the Crystalline Collective, who had organized themselves into neat rows and waited patiently for transport. He'd even relocated the warrior clans of Mordax, who had at least done him the courtesy of trying to kill him in a straightforward, honest way. Humans apparently had chosen chaos. Sir, Lieutenant Quill reported, his voice reaching frequencies that shouldn't have been physically possible. The humans are requesting to speak with your manager. I am the manager, Vex replied through gritted teeth. Yes, sir, I explained that. They've requested to speak with your manager's manager. That would be the High Council. They'd like to file a complaint. Vex stared at the communication console, where a middle-aged human woman was visible, holding what appeared to be a clipboard, and wearing the kind of smile that suggested she'd eaten weaker life forms for breakfast. Hello, the human said pleasantly. I'm Karen Williams, and I'd like to speak with whoever's in charge of this relocation nonsense. I am Commander Vex of the Galactic Enforcement Division, and this is not nonsense. This is official galactic policy. Aha, Karen replied, making notes on her clipboard. And do you have the proper permits for this relocation? Permits? Vex blinked. We are the Galactic Council. We don't need permits. Oh, but you do, Karen smiled wider. According to Earth Environmental Protection Agency regulations, any mass relocation of human populations requires environmental impact assessments, cultural heritage reviews, and at least 90 days public comment period. Those are Earth laws. We operate under galactic authority. But you're operating on Earth, sweetie. That means you need to follow Earth regulations. I've taken the liberty of filing complaints with the EPA, OSHA, the FAA, and the Better Business Bureau. Vex felt something in his brain snap. It might have been his sanity. Furthermore, Karen continued, I don't see any customer service representatives. How are we supposed to file our concerns about the quality of this relocation service? That's when Vex noticed the crowd gathering behind Karen. Humans were arriving with folding chairs, popcorn, and what appeared to be scorecards. What are they doing? He whispered to Quill. Sir, I believe they've turned our relocation effort into entertainment. Someone started a live stream called Alien Bureaucracy Fails, and it currently has 12 million viewers. On the screen, Karen had been joined by what appeared to be a human in a suit holding a microphone. Welcome back to Earth's Funniest First Contact, the human announced. I'm your host, Jimmy Fallon, and we're here with our brave alien visitors who've apparently never heard of proper paperwork. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause. This is not happening, Vex muttered. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're receiving multiple calls. The humans have somehow put us on hold with several government agencies, a pizza place, and something called customer service hell. Through the speakers came the tinny sound of elevator music and a recorded voice saying, your call is important to us. Please stay on the line. Current wait time is approximately 4,000 years. They've also, Quill added weakly, started a petition to have us rated on something called Yelp. Current rating is 2 stars, and the reviews are unflattering. Vex pulled up the reviews on his screen. Aliens showed up to relocate us but didn't bring snacks. Very unprofessional. Would not recommend. 2 stars only because their ships look kind of cool. Worst customer service ever. Asked to speak with manager, was told he was busy enforcing galactic law. Like, okay, but what about my needs? 1 star. Came to invade Earth but couldn't handle basic Earth bureaucracy. Clearly haven't done their homework. Also, their uniforms are so last millennium. Commander Vex began to suspect that humans were not going to be relocated quietly. The turning point came at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, when enforcement ship Delta 7 accidentally vaporized Murphy's Coffee Corner during what the official report would later describe as routine persuasion tactics. Murphy's Coffee Corner wasn't just any coffee shop. It was the coffee shop where Jake Morrison had been drinking the same order for 8 years, black coffee, extra black, with a side of leave me alone until I've had my caffeine. It was where Zoe went to decompress after particularly explosive days at work. It was where Marcus held court, explaining to anyone who'd listen why The Matrix was actually a documentary. It was where Elena planned her most impossible flights on napkins that she'd inevitably lose. More importantly, Murphy's made the kind of coffee that could wake the dead, raise the living, and probably power a small aircraft carrier. Jake Morrison stood in the smoking crater that had been his favorite coffee shop, holding a cracked mug that read World's Okayest Engineer, watching his Tuesday morning routine literally go up in smoke. For a long moment he just stood there. The alien ships hummed overhead. The news crews buzzed around like caffeinated wasps. Someone was selling t-shirts that read I survived first contact and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. Then Jake Morrison said the words that would echo through 17 galaxies and become the subject of at least 43 doctoral dissertations on human psychology. Okay, now I'm actually annoyed. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Zoe appeared at his shoulder, carrying what looked like a toolbox but was actually her mobile demolition kit. Murphy's? She asked quietly. Murphy's, Jake confirmed. The bastards vaporized Murphy's, Elena said, landing her helicopter in the street with the kind of precision that would have made physics professors weep. I was supposed to pick up my usual order after my Denver flight. This is like when the Empire blew up Alderaan, Marcus announced, except Alderaan was a coffee shop and Princess Leia drinks espresso. What happened next would later be studied by military strategists, anthropologists, and several species of highly intelligent dolphins who had been quietly observing from the ocean. Jake Morrison, former military engineer turned civilian contractor, looked at the alien ships hovering over his city and said, Elena, how fast can you get us up there? Fast enough, Elena replied, and her grin was the kind that had made her flight instructors request transfers to safer jobs, like bomb disposal. "Marcus, can you hack their systems?" "Can I hack their systems?" Marcus scoffed. "Jake, I once hacked a toaster just to see if I could make it jealous of a microwave. These guys are probably running on whatever the galactic equivalent of Windows Vista is." "Zoe?" "Yeah? Feel like making some noise?" Zoe's smile was the kind that had made her previous neighbors move to different time zones. "Oh, Jake, I've been waiting for someone to ask." What followed was not, technically speaking, a war. Wars implied that both sides had a chance. This was more like a master class in applied chaos theory, delivered by 4 humans who had just been mildly inconvenienced. Elena's helicopter danced between alien ships like a hummingbird on Red Bull, she getting close enough for Marcus to plug his laptop into their hulls with what appeared to be a modified USB cable and a lot of determination. "I'm in," Marcus announced. "Their security is like a screen door on a submarine. Also, their music taste is terrible. They've got the entire galactic equivalent of Nickelback on repeat." Zoe, meanwhile, had turned 3 city blocks into an alien ship graveyard using nothing but construction equipment, some industrial-grade fireworks left over from the 4th of July, and what could only be described as weaponized creativity. Within an hour, 6 alien ships had been safely disabled, their crews evacuated to what humans generously called timeout zones, and the entire event had been live-streamed by 17 different news organizations and approximately 40,000 social media accounts. The Galactic News Network started covering Earth like it was a natural disaster zone, which, technically speaking, it was. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called to order at 0800 hours, Galactic Standard Time, in a state of barely controlled panic. Representatives from 47 different species had assembled, and the general consensus could be summarized as, "What the hell is wrong with humans?" "Order," shouted Counselor Prime Zenith, banging her gavel with the enthusiasm of someone trying to maintain control of a situation that had already spiraled into complete chaos. "We need to address the human situation immediately." Ambassador Kronk of the Reptilian Confederation raised a scaled hand. "If I may, Your Excellency, my people have encountered humans before. We attempted to establish a mining operation in what they call Nevada. The humans negotiated." "Negotiated how?" "They turned our atmospheric processors into what they called the galaxy's sickest hot tub and charged us admission. We ended up making more money from tourism than mining." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "That's nothing," interrupted Trade Minister Blacks from the Silicon Syndicate. "Humans convinced my entire trade fleet to invest in something called cryptocurrency. We're still not sure what it is, but somehow they made it worth more than dilithium crystals." "At least they didn't declare war on your planet's geology," grumbled General Thok of the Mineral Mines. "Humans visited our silicon-based homeworld and somehow taught our rocks to play jazz music. Our entire planetary consciousness is now obsessed with something called the blues." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Commander Vex was discovering that his problems had evolved from difficult to require psychiatric intervention. "Sir," Lieutenant Quill reported, his voice now permanently stuck at panic frequency, "the humans have reverse-engineered our propulsion systems." "That's impossible. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs." "Yes, sir. They used a combination of duct tape, determination, and what they call spite-powered engineering. They've also improved the efficiency by 30%. Vex stared at the screen showing humans zipping around in what appeared to be modified pickup trucks that could achieve faster-than-light travel. "They've also," Quill continued, "started a business called Humans RUS Problem Solving. Their slogan is no job too weird, no aliens too stuck up." The communication console lit up with incoming calls. "Sir, we have the Crystalline Collective on line 1. They want to hire humans to mediate their labor dispute with their sentient cities. The warrior clans of Mordax are on line 2. Apparently they want humans to help them with their neighbor problem. And the Zephyrian nomads are asking if humans do party planning." "Party planning?" Vex whispered. Apparently, humans threw them a welcome to the galaxy party that was so successful. 3 other species have requested similar events. That's when the galactic economy briefly crashed. It started when humans began undercutting established alien services. Why pay premium rates for galactic shipping when humans could deliver faster, cheaper, and with what they called customer service that doesn't suck? Why hire expensive alien consultants when humans would solve your problems for pizza and the entertainment value? The galactic stock exchange plummeted as established alien corporations found themselves competing with humans who treated impossible problems like interesting puzzles and charged what could only be described as reasonable rates. "Sir," Quill said quietly, "I think we may have made a mistake." Vex looked at his aide, then at the screens showing humans cheerfully revolutionizing galactic commerce, then at the bottle of Andromedan whiskey he'd been saving for his retirement. He opened the bottle. "Quill? Oh. Yes, sir? But I want you to draft a message to High Command." "What should it say, sir?" "It should say help." 3 days later, Commander Vex found himself doing something that no Galactic Enforcement Division officer had ever done in the history of the galaxy, that surrendering to a species that technically didn't even have faster-than-light travel. He stood in what had been Murphy's coffee corner, which the humans had rebuilt in approximately 6 hours using alien technology and what they called aggressive problem-solving. The new Murphys served coffee that could literally wake the dead, had Wi-Fi that reached 17 galaxies, and featured a menu item called the Commander Vex Special. A drink so strong it came with a liability waiver? Jake Morrison sat across from him, sipping his coffee with the satisfaction of a man who'd just watched his favorite coffee shop rise from the ashes like a caffeinated phoenix. "So," Jake said conversationally, "I hear you want to surrender." "Not surrender," Vex replied weakly. "Negotiate a peaceful resolution to this misunderstanding." "Aha. And what exactly are you offering?" Vex pulled out a datapad that contained what was essentially the galactic equivalent of a white flag. Full withdrawal from Earth. No more relocation attempts. Complete recognition of human territorial sovereignty. "That's a start," Jake nodded. "What else?" "And else? Well, you did blow up our coffee shop, and interrupt our Tuesday, and generally annoy us." Vex felt his remaining sanity packets bags and head for the nearest exit. "What do you want?" Jake grinned. "We want an apology. A really good one. The kind where you admit you messed up and promise to do better." We, the Galactic Council, doesn't apologize." "Then I guess we'll have to keep being annoyed." The threat hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Behind Jake, Zoe was casually juggling what appeared to be improvised explosive devices. Marcus was live-streaming the entire conversation to approximately 40 million viewers across 17 galaxies. Elena was doing loop-de-loops in the parking lot with a spacecraft she'd apparently built from spare parts and pure determination. "We're sorry," Vex said quickly. "We're very, very sorry." "Great," Jake said cheerfully. "Now, about those job offers we've been getting." "Job offers?" "Yeah, apparently half the galaxy wants to hire us to solve their problems. Something about us being creative problem solvers and refreshingly direct." "Oh no," Vex whispered. "Oh yes," Jake confirmed. "We're thinking of starting a consulting business. Human solutions, we fix what's broken, break what needs fixing." That's when Vex realized that the humans weren't just staying on Earth. They were expanding. Within a month, the Galactic Council had issued Official Decree 2847B. Earth is fine where it is. Do not disturb. Seriously. We mean it. Leave them alone. The decree was followed by Addendum 2847B1. If you absolutely must interact with humans, bring gifts. Pizza is acceptable. Coffee is preferred. Do not, under any circumstances, destroy their coffee shops. And Addendum 2847B2. If humans offer to help with your problems, the correct response is yes, please, followed by whatever they ask for in payment. Do not argue. Do not negotiate. Do not ask questions. Just smile and back away slowly. The final scene of this particular chapter in galactic history featured Commander Vex and what the Galactic Health Service generously called therapeutic intervention. He spent his days in a small, quiet room, muttering about coffee shops and humans and the sound of approaching helicopters. Lieutenant Quill had requested a transfer to the opposite end of the galaxy, where he now worked in what could only be described as extremely quiet filing. And humans? Humans were already planning their first interstellar food truck, a mobile coffee shop that could travel between star systems, and a consulting firm that specialized in what they called creative problem-solving for uptight aliens. The galaxy, as it turned out, would never be the same. But the coffee was excellent.